Hello children. So here again we need to continue with the same topic, that is parts of speech. In the previous lecture we have seen two parts of speeches we have covered, that were your conjunctions and pronoun. So today we are going to see another part of speech, and it is verb. Right children? It is verb. Now if I say that of all the parts of speeches, which is that parts of speech which is most important of all? It is verb. Right? Without verb, we cannot ever think of making any sentence, speaking any sentence, writing any sentence. In fact, English is not possible in any forms without verb, whether it is speaking, writing, listening and writing and reading. English is not possible in any of the forms without this verb. Verb is so important. So let us discuss what is this verb. So verb is a verb talks about state of being, possession and action. Right? If we say that verb is an action word, so this definition is not very inclusive, because every sentence will have a verb, but every time verb does not speak of some action. So that's why we cannot say that verb is an action word all the time. So what is verb? Verb talks about state of being, verb talks about state of being. This is first thing. Second thing, it talks about possession, and third thing, it talks about action. So this is the role of verb. Verb talks about state of being, verb talks about possession, verb talks about action. Let us understand it with some example. If I say India is a democratic country. India is a democratic country. So here verb is and here it's being used as to talk about state of being. If I say India has rich culture and heritage. So here we are talking about possession form of verb. And if we say Indians speak Hindi, so here we talk about action form of verb. So verb is mainly about these three things: state of being, possession and action. Is that clear children? Now next we will see the kinds of verb. Now we will see the kinds of verb. So broadly speaking, broadly classifying, verbs can be classified into two types. One is finite verb and the second is non-finite verb. First is finite and second is non-finite. Non-finite verb. Children, when we say that no sentence is possible without verb, so that time we are talking about finite verb. When we say that no sentence is possible without verb, that means that time we are talking about finite verb. Every sentence will have a finite verb, but then non-finite is a choice given to us. It may have, it may not have. So let us understand broadly that what is finite verb and what is non-finite verb. So there are 3 points, we will see 3 points, and this is, so number 1 point to understand finite verb, we can say no sentence is possible, without finite verb. No sentence is possible without finite verb. Every sentence will have a finite verb, that is for sure. And non-finite verb, sentences are possible Sentences are possible without non-finite verb. Sentences are possible without non-finite verbs. Let us see how we need to understand it through a sentence. If we say he is a smart boy. See children, it is a sentence. So of course it will have a verb. So see, the verb is and is here finite verb, and there is no non-finite verb. Hence the first point is very much, it has become clear that no sentence is possible without finite verb. So this is a sentence, it has a finite verb, but it has no non-finite verb. You may take any sentence. I am not saying that you need to go for this sentence. You may take any sentence in your mind and write it there. You will find it will have a finite verb. And non-finite verb, it may be there, it may not be there. And most of the time if you speak 10 sentences, so out of 10 sentences, 5 sentences will be without non-finite verb. Another 5 may have non-finite verb. But out of 10 sentences, all those sentences will have a finite verb. So this is the first point about finite verb and non-finite verb. What is that first point? And they are, their features, their natures are very contrasting. Here we have seen no sentence is possible without finite verb, and here it is just opposite of it. Whatever finite verb says, non-finite verb just go opposite of it. For finite verb we have said that no sentence is possible without finite verb, and in case of non-finite verb, what did we say? That sentences are possible without non-finite verb. Second point, there is always one subject. There is always one subject for finite verb. There is always one subject for finite verb. What is the second point? Second point, for finite verb, there is always one subject. And for non-finite verb, the just opposite, of it, there is no subject for non-finite verb. There is no subject for non-finite verb. So this is the second point. Let us understand one thing like this. She has a laptop. Right? So this is the sentence. Fine. So finite verb is has, and there is a subject she. So she is the subject for this verb. Finite verb has. There is no non-finite verb. But another here we will see when I show you. And for non-finite verb there is no subject. Fine. How is that there is no subject for this? We will see. If I say he wants to play football. See simple, children. So here he wants is what? Here it is finite verb. And for finite verb, there is always one subject. So this he is subject for this finite verb. But here to play is non-finite verb, but for to play there is no subject. Why? Because there is only one subject. And why there is only one subject? Because this is a simple sentence. Simple sentence always has one subject. So this subject is for this verb. This verb is finite verb. And this is non-finite verb to play. For non-finite verb there is no subject. So we have so far done with 2 points. First point for finite verb is what? No sentence is possible without finite verb. No sentence. You cannot speak any sentence. You cannot write any sentence. No sentence is possible without finite verb. Non-finite verb, it is possible. Non-finite verb may be there, may not be there. It's a choice given to us. Second point, there is always one subject for finite verb. For finite verb, there is always one subject. Like she has a laptop, has a finite verb. So what is the subject for this verb? Has finite verb, it is she. And the another point for non-finite verb is what? For non-finite verb, there is no subject. How do we understand that? See, here I have written a sentence. He wants to play football. So wants is finite verb. So where is that subject for finite verb? So he is that subject for this finite verb wants. And this non-finite verb, this too is non-finite verb, and for this there is no subject. Fine. Now third point we need to understand. Third point is going to be a decisive factor. In understanding the finite verb and non-finite verb. So this third point is going to be really very important. So what is the third point in that order? Third point is finite verb. Finite verb is influenced by number and person of subject. Number and person of subject. This is the very important point. Often we say this point when we have to say what is finite verb. So finite verb is influenced, is limited, is affected by the number and person of subject. What is the meaning of number and person of subject? Subject may be of any person, first person, second person and third person, and number, it could be of any number, singular and plural. So that's why, and this is verb. And for the non-finite verb is not influenced by the number, person of subject. What is this point? Here it is saying non-finite verb is not influenced by the number and person of subject. By the number and person of subject. Why? Why it's not influenced? Because it does not have a subject. When non-finite verb does not have a subject, then how it can be influenced? Non-finite verb can have got influence only when it had subject. But since it does not have any subject, so how it will get influenced? That's why it doesn't get influenced. One more point. This tense is entirely depends on finite verb. This tense is entirely a matter of finite verb. The time of an action when it is taking place, it's totally a matter of finite verb. And non-finite verb is free from tenses. This is another point you need to understand. Is that clear? And this point, that finite verb is influenced by the number and person of subject. This point only when there is one very important chapter, that is we say subject verb agreement or subject verb conquered or syntax. So there we learn only as is the subject, so is the verb. So when we talk about the subject verb agreement, so subject verb agreement stands only on two pillars. It says when subject is singular, verb has to be singular, and when subject is plural, verb has to be plural. And when we are learning this thing, that means we are talking about finite verb. So subject verb agreement has nothing to do with non-finite verb. Let us once again understand what have we done here, discussed here so far, that finite verb is influenced by number and person of subject. That means subject has always influence. Subject has got influence over finite verb. Non-finite verb, since non-finite verb has no subject, so it cannot be influenced by subject because it doesn't have any subject. And one more thing has said, this tense, tense is a matter for, it's an area, it's a matter for finite verb, and this this tense is totally free. Tense has nothing to do with non-finite verb. Now this point we will understand through some very beautiful example that what is that, how can we say that finite verb gets influenced by the number and person of subject. Suppose if I say I, we, he, she, they. If I say I want to play, and then here we want to play. Here he wants to play. Here she wants to play. And here they want to play. Look at this sentence. So want, I will encircle finite verb and I will underline non-finite verbs. This want, this want, this wants, this wants, this want, this all encircled verbs are finite verb, and to play, to play, to play, to play, to play are non-finite verb. So what did I say about finite verb? That for finite verb there is always one subject. So want is finite verb, so subject is I. To play is not finite verb, there is no subject. Want is finite verb, so for want subject is be. To play is non-finite, there is no subject for to play. Want is finite verb, that's why it has a subject he. And to play is non-finite verb, it has no subject. Want is finite verb, it has subject, she is the subject for this want, and want is finite verb, it has subject they. So these all are finite verb. So this finite verb they have their subjects, but non-finite verb they don't have their subjects. One more thing you need to understand here. See, like when sometime when the subject is changing, the verb has also changed. Sometimes it is want, but when it is he, it is wants. When it is she, it is wants. When it is they, it is want. But this non-finite has not changed. It is all the time to play, to play, to play, to play, to play. Because non-finite verb is not changing. Why? Because non-finite verb has no effect of subjects. Why doesn't it have any effect of subjects? Because it does not have a subject. Let us see more examples. If I say I, she, you, he, like dancing, likes dancing, like dancing, and likes dancing. Situation. So finite verb, I am going to encircle like is finite verb, likes is finite verb, like is finite verb, likes is finite verb. I am underlining this dancing, 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 dancing. So let us see, as we have seen the points we have written for in the definition. Like is finite verb, so it should have a subject, so I is subject. Non-finite verb is dancing is non-finite verb, it does not have any subject. There is no subject. Likes is finite verb, subject is she. There is no subject. Like is finite verb, subject is he. Likes is finite verb, subject is he. And one more thing, how can we say that finite verbs are influenced by subject? See, when subject is changing, when it is I, it is like, when it is she, it is likes. It means subject has some kind of effect on finite verb. But this non-finite verb, you see, plays, dancing, 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 dancing. It is not changing. Hence, we can say that non-finite verb it's not affected by number and person of subject because it doesn't have any subject. And only finite verbs defines the tense of a sentence. Because it has nothing to do with, so these all are in simple present tense because these finite verbs are in simple present tense. So that's why we can say only the tense of a sentence is determined only by finite verb. We will see another example, some simple more example. Is that clear, children? Because at times students really they remain confused. If I say I am playing, if I say we are playing, if I say he was playing, If I say you were playing, see, this is a very simple example. So this am, are, was, were, all these are finite verbs. Non-finite verbs, playing, 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 playing. So when you call a verb finite verb and when you call a verb non-finite verb, go and check the definitions. What terms I have said in its definition. I have said for finite verb that no sentence is possible without finite verb. Second point I have said about finite verb that for finite verb there is always one subject. Third point about finite verb I have said that finite verb is influenced by the number and person of subject and tense is entirely a matter of finite verb. For non-finite verb, what did I say? For non-finite verb I said that no sentence is possible without. For non-finite verb I said that sentences are possible without non-finite verb. For non-finite verb there is no subject and non-finite verb is not influenced, affected by number and person of subject because it doesn't have a subject, and tense is not a department, is in no way related with non-finite verb. Here when it is am is finite verb, so the subject is I. Are is finite verb, subject is me. Playing and playing is non-finite verb because there is no subject for this. Second thing, was is finite verb because the subject, it has subject was. Were is finite verb because its subject is you. But playing and playing is, it doesn't have any subject. One more thing, we say these two sentences are in present tense, present continuous, and these two are in past continuous. That is only because of this finite verb. Right? So even when this sentence is in present continuous, even we are writing playing and playing. Even when these two sentences are past continuous, even here it is playing and playing. That means we can say tense is entirely a matter of consideration for finite verb and tense is in no way related with non-finite verb. Is that clear? So we have very broadly understood with lot many examples what is finite verb and what is non-finite verb. Let us see now kinds of finite verb. See, again I am telling you children, we are just studying what parts of the speech. So I am not going into details. Separately again I will make lecture for each of the parts of the speeches. So kinds of finite verb. Finite verb is of three types of nature. One is transitive. The second is intransitive. And third is verb of incomplete predication. Verb of incomplete predication. These finite verbs. These are finite verbs. So what are transitive verbs, children? Transitive verbs are those verbs which require an object to complete the sense. That is called transitive. So if a verb takes one object to complete the sense, so that verb is called transitive. And the meaning of transitive, the meaning of transitive is passing over. This is the meaning of transitive. What is the meaning of that? Passing over. If subject performs some action and if the effect of the action performed doesn't remain only with subject, but if it passes on to something, to some object, to someone is there to receive it, so that receiver is the object. So that is the meaning of passing over. So here it is getting clear. In simple language you can say that those verbs are called transitive verb which requires an object to complete the sense. And more we can understand it. What is the meaning of transitive? Meaning of transitive is passing over. What is the meaning of passing over? If subject performs some action, so the effect of the action performed doesn't remain with subject, but it passes on to some object. So then it is called transitive verb. And how can you check that the given verb is transitive or not? you can make question with what and whom. That I have taught you in when I have taught in cases, which is in the first lecture of my building blocks of grammar. I have made 3 lectures on the very basics of grammar, and the name of those videos lectures are building blocks of grammar. There I have taught. Is that clear, children? What is transitive verb? In simple language, you say those verbs are called transitive verbs which require an object to complete the sentence. If you want to understand it more in a detailed way, so transitive verbs are those verbs, you know, where the actions performed will not remain with subject, but it will pass on to some object. And how will you know that the given verb is transitive or intransitive? You can make question with what and whom. If you can make question with what and whom, that means the given verb is transitive. One more thing, we can make passive of only transitive verb. For that reason, transitive verb is very important. We can make passive of only transitive verb. We can never make out passive of intransitive verb. Why? Because you know, when we make passive, the active of the subject of active becomes object of passive, and the object of active becomes subject of passive. So if a sentence doesn't have an object, how can we make it subject? And without subject, no sentence is possible. That's why passive of only there is passive of transitive verb. What is the meaning of intransitive verb? Those verbs which make complete sense without taking any object, they are called intransitive verb. And the meaning of intransitive verb, you know, is not passing over. What is the meaning of intransitive verb? The meaning of intransitive verb is that when subject performs an action, the effect of the actions performed will only remain with subject. It will not get transferred. It will not pass on to something else. So here you cannot make question with, you know, what and whom. Here you can make the question with why, where, when, and how. Here you cannot make question with what and whom. And what are verb of incomplete predication? So verb of incomplete predication, you know, it is possible in both the cases. It is possible in case of transitive verb as well as in intransitive verb. And there we say, when we learn verb of incomplete predication, so certain verbs, certain transitive verbs as well as intransitive verbs, they require something to be added to predicate to complete the meaning, and then they are called verb of incomplete predication. And when something is added, what is added is called complement. So this is all about the finite verb. Let us see about the kinds of non-finite verbs. So the kinds of non-finite verbs are only 3 kinds of non-finite. Kinds of non-finite verbs. It is only 3 types. Number 1 is infinitive. Infinitive. That to followed by a base form of verb is called infinitive. Right? Again I am telling you, I am here just telling you, I'm on surface, I am touching these points. Otherwise, you know, it would take at least 2 lectures to teach you completely about infinitive. It has so much of detailed information. So this 2 plus followed by a simple form of verb is called the infinitive. Number 2 is gerund. Gerund, how does it look like? The verb has got ing form, and this is also called, you know, verbal noun. It is called verbal noun because it plays double role. Gerund is at the same time it is verb and at the same time it is noun. And third is, you know, is participle. And participle, the other name for participle is verbal adjective. Verbal adjective. The other name of participle is verbal adjective. Why? Because at the same time it does the work of verb as well as at the same time it does the work of what? Adjective. In form, how does it look like? I have not written. Like for gerund, I have said it is ing form of verb is called gerund. But for participle, I have not said that how does it look like, because, you know, this participle is of 3 types. Present participle. This present participle looks like ing form of verb. So see, now you may ask, what is the difference when you said that gerund is also ing form of verb and participle is also ing form of verb? So there is a difference. Why? Because gerund will have the force of verb and noun, and participle will have the force of verb and adjective. That is how they are different. That I am going to teach you when I make a different lecture for all these things. Here to just we are learning the parts of speech. Next is past participle. That is the third form of verb. Past participle, third form of verb. And there is another called perfect participle. Perfect participle. And perfect participle is again, it is of two types: active and passive. Active and passive. So in active, what is the form? Having plus third form of verb is perfect participle in active form, and passive form is having plus being plus third form of verb. So this is the kinds of non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs are of how many kinds? Non-finite verbs are of three types: infinitive, gerund and participle. How does participle infinitive look like? Simple form I am telling you. There are so many various forms of infinitive. There are so many forms. This is the simplest form of infinitive. Even they are bare infinitive. This 2 plus first form of verb is called infinitive, but there is a kind of infinitive which is called bare infinitive, where we do not use 2. There is only V1, first form of verb. What is gerund? Even for infinitive, there is active and passive. Even for gerund there is active and passive. Even for participle is also active and passive is possible. So things are in quite detail. So you are just learning the kinds. I am not teaching you what is all this. Just I am telling you this is one term so far. So infinitive 2 plus first form verb is called infinitive. Gerund ing form of verb is called gerund. It is the other name is verbal noun because it has dual nature. At the same time it is verb and at the same time it is noun. The third type kind of participle is non-finite verb is participle. It is called verbal adjective. It is of three types. Present participle, when it is present participle, the ing form of verb is present participle. Past participle is the third form of verb, and perfect participle is of two types. When it is an active, when perfect participle is in active form, it is having plus third form, and when perfect participle is in passive form, it is having plus being plus third form. Is that clear, children? So far today we have seen only the names. What is verb? What is the definition of verb? What is kinds of finite verb and non-finite verb and non-finite verb? This we have seen. I have so far not taught you anything going in details. For that I will make